Title: She cheated. I served her divorce papers at work. I arrived at my lawyer's office, where he informed me that the divorce papers were ready. He had a process server with him and asked how I wanted to proceed with serving them. I replied, "Hi everybody. I'm leading a goal of 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I truly believe we can achieve it together. So if you could hit that subscribe button, it would really mean a lot to me. Now, let's dive into the story. I think I may have made a mistake. I attempted to post this in a forum for those dealing with infidelity, but my post didn't get through. I could really use some perspective on my situation. I'm a 32-year-old man, and I've been married to my wife, who is 30, for 5 years. Lately, she feels like a stranger to me. When we first met, we both had established careers and seemed to share the same values. I went to trade school and honed a technical skill, gradually working my way up from entry-level jobs to building a solid reputation in coding, where my references now carry more weight than my education. My wife, on the other hand, holds a graduate degree and has a managerial role. Initially, I thought our differing perspectives on middle management were just a friendly rivalry. I often complained about my frustrating experiences with managers who saw developers as expendable, setting unreasonable deadlines and promising clients features we couldn't deliver. My wife viewed middle management as essential for guiding teams and resources. Despite my complaints, she consistently sided with my bosses, even without having met them. Eventually, I stopped sharing my work struggles with her unless they involved time off or raises, sensing her resentment about my decision not to pursue a graduate degree. She had initially pushed me to go back to school, but when I laid out the costs, she dropped the subject. We were both relatively debt-free when we got married, and our earnings were quite similar. About 2 years ago, I started working for a company where the owner recognized my value and potential. Now, I earn 50% more than my wife, and my manager, while not a technical lead, understands how to support me without micromanaging. The first 4 years of our marriage were good overall. I didn't complain about work, and she didn't pressure me about pursuing further education. We enjoyed date nights, shared hobbies, and spent quality time together. When the pandemic hit, we both transitioned to working from home. Our house is spacious with 3 spare rooms in case we decide to have kids. One room was already my office, and we converted another for her use. Our working styles diverged significantly. I would wake up, make breakfast, shower, dress in a suit, and head to my home office, as I believed it helped me mentally prepare for work. My wife, however, rolled out of bed, threw on a t-shirt and sweatpants, and lounged in her office while playing Candy Crush between emails. The proximity seemed to create distance. She held several meetings throughout the day, which I could hear through her open door. I typically only had one brief daily meeting and closed my door for it. 5 months ago, she expressed feeling offended by my closed-door policy, claiming it made her feel like I was hiding something. I tried to maintain our shared interests, but she dismissed them, insisting we saw each other enough as it was. I thought the lockdown would be temporary, but her desire to return to the office for a partial reopening made things worse. She eagerly returned, while my company remained closed, and I sensed that her coworkers had influenced her. She began staying late after work to socialize, and she became increasingly secretive. Last month, she asked me to wipe her old iPad so she could give it to her niece. I usually do such favors without a second thought, but curiosity got the better of me. I turned on the iPad and discovered a trove of messages, pictures, and videos with her boss, evidence of a 2-month affair. The shock hit me like ice coursing through my veins. I copied everything to a cloud storage service I use for work and began searching for a lawyer. I didn't confront her immediately, feeling numb as if I were trudging through water. Our marriage had devolved into a roommate situation by that point. I contacted a lawyer who suggested gathering more evidence and remaining silent. He recommended hiring a private investigator, and for the last month, we compiled evidence while he prepared the divorce filing. He urged patience, which I managed, though it was tough given my wife's indifference. Yesterday, my lawyer informed me that the filing was nearly ready. Our state recognizes fault in divorce, and the investigator had gathered ample proof, photos, videos, and messages. Then, last night, something within me snapped. My wife came home late and I exploded. I confronted her about her affair, and she had the audacity to turn it around, accusing me of not being emotionally available while she sat at home playing games. I told her I had consulted a lawyer, but she laughed, calling my bluff. She believed there was no way I would leave her and insisted she would get half of my income if we divorced. I retorted that this wasn't a marriage. Her response was chilling. This is the 21st century. A woman can have her cake and eat it too. I emailed my boss, requesting a week off to address a family matter, which he graciously approved. I slept on the couch in my office that night. The next morning, she left for the day without saying a word. I went to my lawyer's office, where he confirmed that the papers were ready. He cautioned me against any revenge serving, warning that judges typically don't appreciate that kind of behavior. Despite his advice, I was fueled by anger and wanted her to feel the pain she had inflicted on me. Eventually, he agreed to my plan, and the process server found my wife at work, surrounded by coworkers. He delivered a large box which contained a custom cake. The cake had a photo of my wife and her boss on it, captioned, "Here's your cake, eat it." When she saw it, she screamed, and chaos erupted in the office as she knocked the cake off the table, exposing it to her colleagues. My phone was inundated with messages, but I ignored them. My wife's mother reached out to inform me that she would be staying at their house for a while. The satisfaction I felt from the cake stunt was overwhelming, but as the hours passed, I began to reflect on my lawyer's words. Did I make a mistake? What a wild story. It's unbelievable how she felt entitled to act as she did in the name of modern feminism while expecting me to accept her behavior. Marriage should mean loyalty, but many see it as merely a status symbol. I can't help but think that people often enter marriages not as equal partners but for appearances. Now that I'm moving forward, I've realized that both paths, college and trade school, can lead to success. Everyone starts somewhere, and it's about hard work and determination that truly matters. As for her, she thought she could outsmart me and didn't realize that her actions would lead to serious consequences. Now, let's check out the update. Update: the cake incident. I'm overwhelmed by the support I've received over the past week. I'm still off work, and my boss generously extended my time off. I've already separated our savings and followed all my lawyer's advice. We don't have children, and I've started seeing a therapist who specializes in infidelity. I feel more balanced, even though there are still tough moments. After the cake incident, I've been taking my lawyer's advice seriously. He's right, you can choose to be happy or to be right. If my wife wants to come home, I can't legally kick her out, but I've been advised to document everything. She's still at her mother's place but wanted to meet to discuss things. I insisted that we have a meeting with witnesses, and surprisingly, she accepted. When she arrived, she tried to hug me, but I simply held up my hand and started recording. She was surprisingly apologetic, saying she felt as if she were watching a movie instead of living her life. She admitted that her coworkers had influenced her, convincing her she deserved more and that I was a submissive man. The fallout has been swift. Her boss ended their affair, and her so-called friends turned on her, publicly shaming her for her actions. She revealed that they had even been blackmailing her for money to keep quiet. I told her there was no going back to normal, everything had changed irreparably. When she asked about us, I made it clear that there was no us anymore. She needs to seek legal counsel for the divorce and figure out her next steps. I also suggested she get therapy because anyone who can go from laughing in my face to pleading for help in a week clearly has issues to resolve. She noticed the cake and I simply stated, "Yeah, I'm dealing with that." After our talk, she left without a word on whether she would follow my advice or succumb to her coworkers' threats. Why is it always the coworkers? What a wild story. It seems karma has come around to bite her. She should have thought twice about who she listened to. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you all next time.